Joe Garcia.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
How was yesterday?
Very good.
Very good? Fantastic?
Fantastic.
Yes. Great. You must be very excited, tired, lots of information, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. You know, I like to keep this today very informal. I think some of the best ways that we can learn is by asking questions. You know, especially with a lot of material I talked about yesterday, because I went through very fast. And each one of those topics could take days of really training it right. So doing some questions and answers and about NHT, about how to do the business. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Who has the first question? I put you all on the spot.
Yeah.
Let me start with how NHT started, so you can give a little vision. You know, Dan and I were top distributors for a company called Care International. And they were based primarily in the United States and Canada and New Zealand and Australia. So in 1999, we were bothering the company. We got to go international. And in 2000, they got this product, Allura, which was very fascinating. And they created the first e-commerce back office in network marketing in 2000. So they came to us because we're the top distributors there, and they said, Joe, Dan, we've got this product, we've got this back office, and we want to start a new company because you guys have been bothering us to go international. And that's how NHT started in 2001. January 22nd, 2001. So we did 20 million our first year just with one product. We opened United States, opened Canada, then the government shut us down in Canada because they declassified the product, Allura. Then we opened up in Australia in August, and we did $1 million in the first month. And then the government in Australia closed us down because of the product. Allura was approved as a food supplement, a nutritional, and they declassified the product. So in the first year, there was a lot of opening countries and closing countries, but we eventually got those markets opened up again. So that was, and then in 2002, we started, you know, Dan and I recognized that, you know, for us to build globally, we had to do it ourselves. We weren't going to get the support of the company because they didn't have much money. So we decided to start traveling and use our own shovel and start digging up the global markets. And we went into Asia first and then started going throughout Asia. And we kind of forced the company to look what we're doing now, look how much sales we're doing. And then the company started going and opening the markets for us. That's how most of the markets at NHT launched. So I knew if timid salespeople have skinny kids, we needed to be very aggressive in launching our vision for what NHT is today. So the advantage for the new people is especially the whole system is set up globally. And we're expanding into new markets as Maya showed you yesterday. And Maya, by the way, was one of our translators when she started. When we started going into Slovenia, which was the first market that we were shipping product into in Europe, she was helping us with the translations. And then the company stole her from us. It's kind of funny, we also went into Russia. They stole our translators and, and several other countries. So we hired them as our translators, and the company said, wow, we got some good support people here. Yeah. But it's amazing with Maya, she started as a translator, and now she's the vice president of international markets. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with, because she was translating us, she was involved in all the trainings, you know, she learned the business very fast. Yeah. So, a lot of people ask me, how did you do all these pioneering? How did you do all these markets, right? And I talked a little bit about the why, being very specific. And that's really the magic to developing your own business. A lot of people want to know, how do I market the business? How do I do this? How do I do that? But if they don't understand why they are doing the business, it's going to be very difficult. So as sponsors, as leaders, we need to understand why our people want, what they want in the business. And oops. So if you look at the mind, we have two parts of our mind. We've got a subconscious mind.
No,
Yeah?
you should check council so it works on that.
Is it whiteboard or permanent?
Is this permanent?
I don't know.
Yeah, whiteboard.
Forever.
Yeah, you've done that before, right? All right? So you got your subconscious mind and you got your conscious mind. Okay? Your subconscious mind, you ever wonder when you fall asleep, your heart is still working, your organs are working, everything's working in your body. So your subconscious mind controls everything in your body. Okay? Your conscious mind is what we're feeding on right now. 90% of what you want is all into your subconscious mind. So you have to learn to use your subconscious mind to control your conscious mind. The subconscious mind is connected to everybody in the universe. So if this is a universe, your subconscious mind is connected to everything in the universe. So a thought is transmitted all over the world, and it's connected to the people that are still thinking like you are. So you ever heard the term like becomes like? Right? It's because of that. Because your thought processes go all out, and you got these billions and billions of trillions of thought processes, and it's all connected, what we call universal thought. So, has anybody heard of quantum physics?
Yes.
Okay. Quantum physics is the science of how the universe works. And in the last 5 years, there's been thousands of studies. It's amazing how much information now is in quantum physics. What they found is everything in this world is made up of particles. They call them atomic particles. So this table is made of the same stuff that we are. Subatomic particles. Okay? And I'm going to keep it very simple because it's very technical, this part. And these subatomic particles are found when you think of something. These subatomic particles start to form in a parallel universe. So let's say you think of a car, like a red Corvette. Right? Your favorite car, right, Lawrence?
No,
Yeah.
but
Right?
good enough.
Think of a red Corvette. This red Corvette, and you focus on it, is starting to be formed. These subatomic particles start to form in a parallel universe. And how that comes into our own universe is when through power of focus. So the subconscious mind and these particles that form, they only work on specifics. So it's not good enough to say, I want to be rich. I want to be financially independent. I want to be debt-free. Because the subconscious mind does not know what that is. The universal mind that does not know what that is. So you need to tell your subconscious mind exactly what you want. Like I was sitting down with Karina yesterday, and one of her dreams was to go to Hawaii, right? That's specific. I want to go to this island of Hawaii. I want to take my granddaughter. So now you're specifically telling the universe that that is what you want. So now the subatomic particles are now starting to form. But how do you make this into reality? Is through the power of focus. And I'll give you an example. NASA, which is the North American Space Agency, did an experiment 4 or 5 years ago. And they put on they got a set of astronauts, and they put on these glasses on these astronauts. The glasses made the astronauts look upside down. Okay? And they have to wear them 24 hours a day. So can you imagine how crazy that's going to make you feel? You know that each one of those astronauts started seeing right side up 26 days later. Every one of them. They did a second experiment with different astronauts, but changed it one by 1 day. Day 15, they had to take off the glasses and start all over again day 16. You know that just missing 1 day, they had to do, all those astronauts started seeing right side up 26 days later. For me, I go, wow. I recognize that, wow, there's something here. Because I recognize working with people over the years, the ones that always achieve their goals are the ones that were able to focus on a longer period of time than the ones that weren't. So in what happens in the universe or the quantum physics, what happened is every day you imagine if you were in that experiment, what are you thinking of? This is driving me crazy. Can't wait to see right side up. I'm getting sick. I'm getting dizzy. I got to lay down. Your whole life is centered around these glasses. All right, so what is your thoughts? What's your goal? Can't wait till the experiment is over. So thinking like that all day long, every day, took 26 days for the mind to develop enough neural pathways for the universe to develop the right subatomic particles in a parallel universe. Now it became your universe, their universe. 26 days later. The challenge with most people is they set goals, it's very specific, and they're on track. Then something happens with the relationship. Now they completely forget about it. They're off track for a couple of days. Then they watch the news. That keeps them off track. You know, the bombing in Belgium and all this scare tactics, right? So what happens is we're focused on things that we don't want and not telling the universe exactly what we want. So I explained yesterday there's a part of our brain in the back that feeds all the experiences in there, never forgets. Even back to when you were in your mother's womb. When you're in your mother's womb, all the experiences that your parents are having, especially the mother, all the fears, everything, that fetus, you are experiencing. That subconscious mind's already developed. It's very fascinating. So from the ages of a newborn to 7 years old, you were like a computer. Everything that was fed into our minds, conscious mind and subconscious mind, is like a computer. You know, with computers we program it to do X functions. Between a baby and the 7 years old, you're being programmed. All the fears, all the experiences your parents had, all the aunts and uncles, all the environment. And at the end of the 7 years, your critical factor is already developed. Everything's developed in your brain. So what ends up happening is during your life, you're programmed in a certain way And that doesn't change unless you get to a conscious level and say, wow, I now understand there's some things holding me back, right? Which actually what it does, it creates an energy block in your, spiritually in your system. So energy always flows to where you focus on. But we have things that have been programmed into us that blocks that energy. Things about money. Money is a big one. Things about relationships. So you grew, you know, if you had, before the age of 7, you had your parents divorce. You've been programmed what relationships look like. All these things, right? Things about success. Failure. Which affects our subconscious mind, which affects our thoughts, right? And that's why personal development is very important. Because you grow as a person, you start to understand these things. And you start to work on yourself, improving yourself. So, for example, when I get someone started, I recommend The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. I recommend all of you read that book. You can get it on Steam Team. I got it on the ebook version. But Science of Getting Rich is a great book for people to start. It's how the universe works. And he goes into a lot of these concepts. The author is Wallace Wattles.
And the title was?
Science of Getting Rich.
I think you have it right.
Yeah. Science of Getting
No to su, ja, no to si
Rich. Wallace Wattles is the author.
Stari mi je doma nuti, dom smo naudu.
Can you get me some water too, please? Thank you. Okay. So I've got a system that will help you stay on focus, but get what you want. And you follow the system, you're guaranteed to start manifesting things in your life. So the first step is to determine what your dream is. It has to be very specific because of what I just shared with you here, right? So you need to write that down. Very critical. I would recommend you carry that with you every day. Put it in your wallet, your purse. Second thing you need to do, so I'm going to pick on Karina here. So her dream is Hawaii, right?
Yes.
So she has to write it down. I am, so you always write it down like you've already achieved it. I am going to Hawaii. Or I am in Hawaii. What? How do you say I am in Swedish? Okay. There is a power behind I am. Has anybody heard that before? Okay. When you go back to the Bible days, and when Moses went to the burning bush, and he asked, who is speaking? And God said, I am that I am. I am is actually a very spiritual word. It's connected to our subconscious and the universe. And there's a huge power behind I am. Unfortunately, people use I am in a negative sense. Because I am, never mind if you're not a spiritual person and you're not believing God or anything, that doesn't matter. But I am is connected with the universe. It's the power of the universe. So people use that word and saying, I am fat. I am ugly, I am, horrible things that they say to themselves all the time. So when you're using that word I am, which is connected to the universe, it's using a power against you. So be very careful when you use I am. You should always use it for the positive. So like I am bored. That was not allowed in our family. Right? I am not successful. All right? So you write it down. Number 2, you need to have a system that will help you stay focused from the distractions. There's too many distractions in our world, from when we turn on the TV to the internet. There's lots of from the people that we're connecting to. Thank you, Helen. So you need to have a system that helps you stay focused. So you write it down. You need to take pictures out. So Karina, you take pictures of Hawaii. You might want to choose where you're going to be in Hawaii, because there's several islands, right? Maybe the resort, right? So those pictures need to be in your office, your bedroom, your car. Okay? So when we're seeing it every day, it helps you focus on what you want, right? Third thing is you need to come up with an affirmation. The power of our words are even more powerful than our thoughts. So always be careful what you say. Right? So when you send out a word, these, with energy, these subatomic particles will start to form in this parallel universe, according to quantum physics. So every time in front of a mirror, like my wife Margaret always says, "What are you saying up there?" Because every time in front of the mirror, I'm talking to myself, right? So Karina, what you would say is, I am going to Hawaii. I am in Hawaii. Right? I'm so happy and grateful I'm in Hawaii. That's the proper affirmation. So you're using it present tense. And you can say it over and over and over again. Because on the opposite, the negative, we're doing it all the time, a lot of people. Focused on the wrong stuff. Then the fourth thing is you need to visualize it every day that you've already achieved it. This is where the power of us as human beings have. We have a power of creating things in our life very quickly. So you know how athletes now, their coaches tell them to play the movie in their mind? If you're a tennis player, how to hit it. They teach them visualization practices. Golfers on putting, right? You know, if you ever see a hockey game, the goalies now at the top level, before the game, they're visualizing the saves that they're making. Every single angle save. They're taught to play that in their mind. So the best time to visualize, what you need to do is you need to sit in a chair or lay down. You need to learn how to breathe. So you breathe through your nostrils, but your stomach goes out, not the other way around. Right? And then you exhale. Get yourself in a calming mindset. And then you're playing the movie in your mind. So Karina, you can visualize you're playing with your granddaughter in the pool. Getting off the plane and saying, "Oh, I've done it." Kissing the ground like you're the Pope, you know? And put enough emotion behind that. And the best time to do that is just before you fall asleep. Because that's when your mind, subconscious mind, is the most active. So if you fall asleep and you get into that REM, part of yourself, REM sleep. Now you're programming your subconscious mind. This is what you want. And the fifth thing is to help you visualize or help you believe that you can achieve it, is you need to get yourself in a situation that you're already feeling you've achieved it. So let's say your goal is a car, you know, a specific car. Find a way where you can rent it for a day. And you can go and feel the leather and go for a test drive. This will speed up the process. If your goal is a dream home, you know, look at homes that are for sale that you can go and view. And pretend those homes are yours, right? You can feel the homes.
Just a little short story. This is very true. A few weeks ago, there is a girl in Kenya, in East Africa. She used to take photos of herself and put them on Facebook, but in the background she could put up photos of China. All the beautiful buildings in China, the people in China, and she would write that, I love it here in China. It is so beautiful. The people in China, she would post every day. But she is in Kenya, but that's where she wants to go. So she would put up backgrounds of China with her photo in it. And like a week ago, someone from China saw those photos. They went viral on the Facebook. And he bought her a ticket to China. Now she is in China for real.
Yes.
So this really works.
Yes, it does. And she used the word love.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay? This is where real important is you have to fall in love with your dream. Right? So, Mats, when you fell in love with Natalia,
Yeah.
did you have to spend any energy thinking about her?
Oh yeah. Very, very much.
No, you didn't have to. You just she was always in your mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So when you fall in love with your dream, it's just like that. You don't have to put any energy behind it. It just comes natural. And this woman in Kenya is brilliant, because what she did is she posted these pictures, which was her way of feeling that she was already there. And then she said, I love.
Yes,
And what happened is that thought, that was programming her subconscious mind. Her subconscious mind, which is connected to the universe, that focus was going out there, that thought.
Yeah.
And then a person who had the same vibration level picked it up and made it happen for her. That's how things happen. Like my time in NHT, it's amazing how coincidences, everyone calls it a coincidence. It's amazing how these things all happen. With me, it was really because I made it happen. Because I understood what to do in the process. Now, I'll tell you how I got involved in network marketing. I used to manage health and racquetball clubs. And it was a great job. And 1 year, after about 5 years there, making millions of dollars for the owners, the owner came to me and told me that they were selling the club. And the next day it was sold. So I'm in my, I was 25 at the time, and I was thought that they were going to give me a percentage because I made them all this money. And no, they didn't. So I promised myself I would never work for someone else again. So that was number one, which was really scary. But I also realized that I would never get rich or reach my goals working for someone else because I had no control, right? So I bought another business. Within a small amount of time, I realized I made a mistake. And then I went out and started writing down exactly what I wanted my life to look like 10 years from that moment. You know, just a few weeks after that, I'm in my local library and a gentleman tapped me on the shoulder and introduced me to network marketing. my life changed at that moment. And I made it happen because on my list was to me, it was about freedom. I wanted to work from home. I wanted to be flexible for my family. You know, Margaret and I were just having our second child, right? It was all about family to me, right? So I went to my first meeting. So basically, the guy tapped me on the shoulder. We exchanged business cards. About a month later, he took 1 month to contact me. I guess he didn't think I was going to be a good distributor. And he did the worst presentation, one-on-one, right? And it took him another month to call me again. I guess I didn't impress him. And he invited me to a meeting, right? And I took my brother, and I'm sitting in the back of the room. And I don't know if you've ever heard those born-again Christians where the Jehovah's Witness or whatever, right? Where they're just preaching and preaching. I had one of those born-again Christian moments. I'm in the back of the room, and within 2 minutes, I knew that this was for me. Absolutely knew. Like my whole body was telling me. Right? So you can imagine, I just wrote it on a list, and then how those little things started to happen in my life. And then it took me to that meeting. And because when you really fall in love with your dream, there are coincidences that happen in your life which many of us don't even realize. But I was paying attention because of where I was in my life at the time. And the rest was history. I signed up that day. And that's when I met Dan Cato. He was the top leader in that company. And after the meeting, I saw him in the parking lot. He was driving his car, which was a Jaguar, a black Jaguar. And the license plate said Cato, C-A-T-T-O. So I got to his car, knocked on his window. He rolled down the window. You remember those big cell phones? They were like this. And it was like $50 a minute. He had one of those. It was back then, you knew that someone was rich when they had one of those phones. So he pretended to be on this phone. I don't know, he was on this phone. And I go, Mr. Cato, excuse me. You know, I was really impressed with you. I'm looking for a mentor. Will you be able to mentor me? And he said, sorry, kid, I don't have much time. And I thought to myself, I'm going to show this guy. That was the best thing he could do for me. Because for me, it was, okay, I'm going to show him. All right? So that's how I got started in the industry. You know, and I look back all these years later, all that happened because I wrote something on paper. And I was so focused on it. So these 5 things that I've just given you is my system in manifesting what you want. So going back to the astronauts, if you do that every day for 26 days minimum and stay on track, that is the goal, you will start to see changes in your life. Guaranteed. If you learn how to use that. The challenge is staying on track for 26 days. Because what happens is, you know, we've been programmed all these stuff into our computer. And our lives have been built on habits from this programming. So if you're closed-minded, a lot of it has to do with the programming that you're given when you're younger. So I'll give you an example of how that works. In Russia, they really respond to a certain type of leadership. The boss leadership, the autocratic, communist type of leadership, right? Especially the older people, because that's what they were brought up with, right? So a lot of the leaders in that market lead like that, because that's how they've been programmed. Because that's how they grew up, right? They didn't question, this is the way you have to do it. In China, it's the same way. A lot of it is the same way. Because that's how they've been programmed. But when they've come into our business and they start to learn and they meet people like myself, their beliefs now start to change a little bit. Because, well, how is that possible to be like this and get the same results, right? So my goal in network marketing and building our business is really help people grow their mind so they can start changing their beliefs that don't serve them. So when you go to places like Africa and Asia and experience different cultures, you know, a lot of people, especially in our business, that really grows them because they see different parts of the world, because they end up seeing that people everywhere in the world, people are the same. No matter you're in Russia or Sweden or Hong Kong or Africa, what is the number one thing that people want? They want enough money that they don't have to worry about money. And that's freedom. That's what people want, and that's what we sell in our business, is freedom. And not only do they want freedom, is they want to be appreciated. They want to be loved or noticed. So if you develop this system within your lives and teach it, it's going to be like brushing your teeth. Don't even think about it. So again, it's 26 days. Okay, who has challenges in negative thinking? Oh, we're in the right room. But if you're honest with yourself, there are certain parts of our life that we're anchored to. Right? Where like your spouse or someone, family member, all they have to say is a few words and they're like energy vampires, right? We all have those people. So I was telling yesterday that how you can manage your thoughts is based on how you feel, right? So if you're feeling bad, that means you're off track. In our business, it's not good, because that momentum will build into negativity and you'll be in a vicious cycle. So there's two ways that I've programmed myself. The first way is through understanding how you feel. When you start to feel bad, you got to do something to change it. Turn the music on, go and exercise, go to the spa, right? Stay away, some people go for a walk. The second way is that you can also program yourself to think positive. And how you can do that is go through a 10-day mental diet, a mental enema. So how that works is, especially when we're in sales, it's our energy that we give out is really critical. So never get on the phone when you're negative. Never meet someone when you're not feeling good, because you're not going in with the best of energy. So what you want to do is have a 10-day mental diet. So your goal from 1 day to 10 days in a row is to stay positive and don't think about negatives. So if you start to think about a negative, your goal is to catch it within 20 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds. And if you don't catch it, you have to start all over again, day one. So your goal is to go through that for 10 days. It's very difficult, you'll find, because the way we're programmed. If you do that and because the brain is like a muscle. You train that muscle. I was watching last night, I turned on the TV and they had a program in China, a football program. So they have this football school in China. It's the biggest one in the world now. And China's goal is to win the World Cup one day, right? Every morning, they have those kids, like 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds that are in the school. Before they go and practice, these kids are saying affirmations. I am a successful soccer player. I will compete professionally for the China national team, and we will win the World Cup. Every morning they're saying those affirmations. Programming. They have to say it over and over and over again. So I'll tell you a little story about the power of your words and the power of a great story about the African lady. Is back in my care days in 1997, they had a very hot weight loss product, and it was not approved in Canada. So the Canadians would ship it to the border, and one of us would go across the border to pick up the product. And I lived about an hour from the border. So they knew that I was going to go pick up my product, so people would ask me, Joe, can you go pick up my product? And I'd say, yes, yes, yes. So I had orders to pick up for about 5 to 10 people. So I decided to take my kids down there for a drive. And at that time, Vanessa was like 2, Kat was 4 years old. So we go there, and I get to the lady's house to pick up the product. And it's over $20,000 worth of product. Okay? And I'm thinking, how am I going to drive this across the border? I can't take all this product. But as a leader, you have to always follow through with your promises. Right? So I decided, okay, I'm going to bring all this product down. So I started hiding the bottles under I brought my van, under the chair. Every area that I could hide in the van, I was sticking the bottles in there. Okay, now I'm getting close to the border. And now I'm starting to get nervous. What am I going to say? I can't lie. Right? And so I'm about, there's 5 areas that I can go, 5 people that I can go see to go across the border. So I decide that I'm going to choose a man, because women will see right through me. Right? So I'm the second car, and I go, oh my God, it's a woman. She had short hair. So now I'm in trouble. So I don't know what came over to me. I said, God, please help me here. I'm doing the right thing, for these people. I don't want to disappoint people. Just please help me there. So I get to her, and she says, how long have you been in the United States? Just a couple hours. Where'd you go? Shopping. How much you should spend? Oh, I spent about $600. All right? And she looked right into my eyes. And I was, oh my God. And then the customs officer wrote something on the paper. Right? And he told me to pull over to the side. So she felt something, right? So I go, oh my God, I'm going to jail. I've got these 2 little kids. It's a serious offense, $20,000 of the product. And you're lying, right? And the product is not even approved in Canada. So I parked the car, and another customs officer comes in and he goes, sir, get your kids out of the car. I'm going to check your car. Okay? So he goes to the driver's side, opens the door, and the bottles runs. Because I was parked on a little hill. Right? And I go, okay, now I have my fate. I'm going to go to jail, big fine. I'm thinking about how I'm going to get my kids back. And he opens the other door, some more bottles. And I'm starting to sweat. And then he opens the trunk. He said, excuse me, sir, can you give me the invoices? I hadn't even looked at his eyes yet. So I opened the boxes, gave him the invoice, and at that moment we looked in each other's eyes, and his eyes were glossed over. There was it was like he wasn't out in this world, right? And he said, okay, sir, you can go now. My heart was beating. So I took my kids and I threw them in the car. And I got in the car and I was going at like 150 kilometers an hour. And about 2 kilometers in, I go, what just happened there? What just happened there? I just observed the miracle. All right? And I look back is when I told God, the universe, what I wanted, and I had this faith. You know, I immediately understood how I can manifest things very fast. And I started thinking, what did I do going up to that moment? Another time is a number of years ago, Margaret and I were selling a house, and we're down in Florida. And my real estate agent, we signed a deal with him, and he developed leukemia. So he couldn't work on selling the house, so he gave it to his wife, who had no experience. And for 6 months, we did not get one offer in our house. And the real estate agent would come into our place and want to remove carpets, clutter, you know, take out furniture in the house and everything else. So I decided in Florida, I couldn't understand, I should practice what I preach. So we drove back from Florida, which was about 21 hours drive from, right? And every hour I decided I was going to say an affirmation. I'm so happy and grateful that I've sold the house, and I would say, thank you, God. And I said that 10 times every hour. And at the end of the 10 times, I visualized a house have a sold sign on it. So we got back at home. So the whole day I was saying that. I got a call from the real estate agent, and she told me, you got your first offer. Just like that, in 6 months. So I started to shake. Wow, that was fast. So he met us at the house, looked through the house, and he signed the deal. The next thing I was worried, the house is like 40, 50 years old, so you have to do a home inspection, right? So we had fixed the kitchen, the washrooms, you know, and I was worried that there was going to be some other things that we had to fix that would hurt the selling the house. So I thought to myself, no worry, everything's going to be okay. I stayed focused. You know that he bought that house without a home inspection. You're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, 50-year-old home, and you're not doing a home inspection. That's crazy. Yeah. So I look back at what I did is I told the universe what I wanted, put so much energy into it, and I focused on those couple of days, and I was able to manifest very fast. And my mind was so focused on what the goal was. So my goal here today with you is help you believe that you can do the same thing very fast. And if you look back at your lives and things that you really wanted in life and what you did, you could see examples of what you've been able to do. Small things. Now, miracles, little miracles happen in your life. People you met, you know? But the programming in our minds is the opposite. It's the garbage that we've been fed all our lives, you know? So, if you're interested in quantum physics, if you have a scientific mind, you're the blue personality. You know, I've got some good CDs that you can listen to, very simple, that explain how that stuff works. A lot of people understand thoughts become things, but some people, if they read the science behind it, which has nothing to do with faith, then they start to see wow, this is true. So I look at all our global ambassadors, where that's the number one thing that they've learned to do, is really focus on what they want. And it's very clear. And they don't get distracted. We have a woman in California, and her name is Vivian. You probably canceled that out. But she was red personality, and she's the kind of woman that for years she would be negative and focus on this and that. But and she just reached the global ambassador level after, I think she's been 12 years. And if you were to ask her what she did the last 2 years, it was that she was on purpose. She started focusing not on the problems or the challenges, she started focusing on what she wanted. And I think it was because of her, she was starting to see all the people around her and her team qualifying. Her ego said, well, she's got to do it. So that was her focus. Yeah. Any questions on this? It's deep stuff.
Well, I have I don't know if it's a question, but I have a problem that I'm struggling with. It's my relationship to money.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was little, we didn't have very much money, and I was taught to, well, rich people are like that and blah blah blah, and you don't need very much money. We are healthy, and and I'm really trying to focus on getting more money, and I want to have more money.
Okay.
But I have my
Good question.
yeah my conscience tells me that
Yes.
it's a bit ugly, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if money was a thing, if money was an animal, what would it be?
If it was an animal,
If your thought of money, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
a black jaguar.
Okay.
Wel, nee, zeg maar.
Why a black jaguar?
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's very important to understand is money is one of the major issues that people have spiritually. It's because of how we've been programmed to read money. So when you were a child before the age of 7, all those beliefs that you have about money has been programmed into your computer. And it's your job now, once you understand it, it's your job to understand that you have an issue with money. And where did that come from? So now you have to track back in your mind, where did that come from? So black jaguar means,
It's exciting but dangerous, right?
correct.
Yeah.
So that's your picture, that's your money monster. Right?
Okay.
You've created a visual picture of what money is all about, right? And all money is energy. That's really what it is. You want more money, you have to tap into that energy. But we have these beliefs that we have to break down about money in our subconscious mind. And so you have to trace back. The first thing you do, you trace back to all the beliefs that your parents had about money. You know, rich people are bad.
Mhm.
They're thieves. That was told the story this morning about the Swedish, the monarchy in Sweden, right? Where they were caught asking for more money and they already had hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever outside the country.
They allowed them to take home the black money to Sweden.
Yes, yes. So these are beliefs that we have about money that affect our energy about money. So you need to break down those beliefs.
Yeah, because every time I try to visualize and think about, and then this thought comes along and tells me, well, you don't need to.
Yes, because of the programming.
I was thinking money in itself is not the problem. The problem is that money is connected to greedy, to cheating,
Yeah.
and all these things.
That's a belief.
Yeah.
Yes. So that you can write that. Okay. So what you do is usually you can go back into your childhood, and there's traumatic experiences that you had that's connected with money,
Yeah, I know. That.
which creates
I
an
know.
energy form in your aura, which blocks you from getting that money. So how you work back is what you want to do is you want to go back in your memory of those instances, right? Now as an adult, and write down those things, those beliefs. Okay? You write it down, and you take a match, burn it. That's one technique that you can use. When I'm back here in Sweden, I can go into these type of techniques. There's a technique called EFT tapping, where you tap in your chakras. And what it does is it removes that energy that is, like money chakra is right here, in the heart, in the gut. And if you learn how to use that, you can go and learn more about it. It removes the energy that is blocked in those areas.
I can help you with that. I know too.
Oh yeah. So people that have money problems, it's always in the stomach and the heart. That's where it affects the most. EFT is a powerful way to remove energies at a basic level. So the why EFT works is it's called anchoring. Our thoughts are always anchored to incidences that we've had in our life. So let's say, for example, you had a loved one die in funeral, and people are hugging you and tapping you on the shoulder over and over. That triggers an emotional response in the brain. 20 years later, someone could tap you on that shoulder, and your first thought will be that funeral. Right? So the same thing happens with, as a child, we start to link these emotional experiences that we had, and it's so embedded into our subconscious mind, it affects our decisions in the future. It's programming. So I'll give you an example. We have two leaders, major leaders in the company, and they're two women. And at age 11, both of them were raped by a family member. One woman, it doesn't affect her. Like, she is like the leading person of sexual feelings, right? In terms of, she doesn't even ever bring it up. She's helping women in that area. She's free of what happened when she was a child, right? Whereas the other one, same skill sets, it affects her still today. You can tell in her energy, she has a lot of conflicts, right? So what's the difference between those two women? Is the first woman is seeing the relationship to that sex act as someone, as an adult. She's seeing it as an adult. That's not her fault. It was that family member that did it. She had nothing to do with it. Whereas the other woman is still seeing that in her mind as a child. She's still a child. She's still reacting like a child, like it's her fault, what did she do, etc., etc. And she has not been able to clear those feelings because she's experiencing it as a child still. So when it comes to money, a lot of, like, for example, for women, one of the biggest things for women is they have a hard time buying stuff for themselves. They'll buy for their kids, their husband, but they have a lot of guilty feelings about buying something for themselves. Right? Because that's how women are programmed. You know, take care of the family. I'm the last person, right? It's, pardon?
Not here in Sweden. Not here.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Doesn't matter, women around the world, it's that motherly programming, right?
That's when guys meet, they always say, what are you working with? When women meet, they say, "How is your family?"
Yes,
Ja.
Yeah.
exactly. And that's just programming everywhere in the world.
Then I have a problem. I'm a woman then. Because I have that thinking.
Yeah, men have the same type of thinking
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
I'm more happy to give other thing for like my family to they buy clothes or present than I buy something for myself.
You could have learned that from your father, or you were probably closer to your mother.
Yeah.
Right?
I think my mother. I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I was also thinking, when you're talking about the dream, about money and so on, I don't think you are looking for the money anymore. I think you have passed the stage when you are happy to educate other persons to get a better life.
correct.
Right?
Because I know that brings me more money.
I don't think it's priority. I
Correct.
think you're more happy because you can see other who make money got a better life and you get friends.
Yes,
And I was thinking, if you have problem with the issue of money itself, it's better to think that, okay, it will create a good position for me and my family, and also I can help others.
correct.
Then I have easier to change the picture.
Yes,
Yeah.
because
I
there's
can
a,
fire it up.
yeah.
But I
So there's a
have
law of
that-
the universe.
I
Huh?
have that. I always think about helping other people.
Yeah.
That's my commission in life.
Yes.
But it doesn't help me.
Yeah, because of the beliefs that you've been programmed as a child,
Yeah.
right? So what happens going back to the women, where they'll always feel guilty about buying stuff for themselves, right? It's like the old, so what I would recommend with you ladies is set little goals. If I achieve the associate rank, reward yourself to the spa, whatever you like doing, right? If you sell some product this week, 1,000 euros, do something for yourself. See, these little rewards will send to that part of the brain, like, that's how we train dogs and cats, right?
Yeah.
By giving them rewards of food, right? Us as humans, same thing. Sends good serotonin levels. In the United States and in the United States and Canada, there's an epidemic with women. I think it's also in Europe, right? That over the age of 40, almost 50% of women are on some psychiatric drugs. Prozac. Yes. You know why? Is they go to a man because around that age, some women start to feel different, not unfulfilled. It's because of all these programmings, right? I have to take care of the family, and they have all these conflicts with regards to that. And they don't take care of themselves. They go to a male doctor. The male doctor, what do men do? Oh, just go and take some pills. It'll help you feel better, right? So there is because women tend to grow, are more into self-help than men. Because they have that part of their brain is working more than the men part, right? So I always tell our women in our business, you got to take care of yourself first. You cannot help anybody else until you help yourself first.
That's true.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing you need to teach women. And men are scared of powerful women because they know that when women are on purpose, they'll beat a man. They're smarter. They don't have the egos as men do. So what men do is they try to push the women down. So it's amazing globally, especially the emerging markets. One of the biggest complaints I was telling Helen Korean yesterday is 5 years ago, I went to El Sharm el Sheikh. They had a Russian incentive program. So it was me and 30 Russian women. And they each had an hour with me that week. And every single woman except one asked about relationships. Nothing about the business. It was about the relationships with their husband or their boyfriend. right? Each one of them complained that they never had the support from their spouse. Each one of them. So it's, you see that all over the world, especially in the emerging markets. So you see a lot of the women, they grow into this business, and the males say, oh, that's a little business. You know, you go do what you want to do, but I'm not going to support you. But then they start to make money, and more money than their husbands. Now then you see at the events, the husbands join them on stage. Look what we did. But you know, it's the woman that did it. Right? In most cases. It's interesting dynamic. You see that a lot in like in China, Russia too, Africa.
In the Philippines, very much.
Yes.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah. So this, going back to the questions here, I would work with Helen on EFT. Very powerful. And removing your money blocks. You know, and like that Black Panther, that's your money monster. Right? If you switch that Black Panther to something more positive, that will help you. But you don't expect that overnight. You have to work on yourself in that part. So stop saying the things like I can't afford it. Reward yourself. Any questions on that?
Do you think this kind of system can work with any person? If we say about me, I have a brother, he is absolutely negative about all of this system. And is it possible, you know, when you have some relative that you want to help? So
Yeah. There is a law of the universe called the law of allowing. I think we spend too much time trying to control what other people think and control our kids. So what the law of allowing says is that we have no control over what they manifest in their life. So we have to let go of that control. Especially our loved ones. You know, we want to help them, we want to develop. Best thing you can do is just lead by example. Because it takes too much energy from you. Believe me, I've got an older sister who's, I've tried to help over the years. And I just have to be not judgmental, just allow her to go through her life. She always tells me, Joe, you're lucky. And I say, no, I'm not lucky. And I'll go into why these things happen to me, right? But she still, just love her unconditionally and let her live her life. It hurts, but. The other thing, Natalia, you got to really watch out for energy vampires. And a lot of them are in your lives, right? That's where you need to decide, do you want to spend time with them? Because the people you surround yourself most, you become like. You got to watch out for that. Like it's the old story where, there's a lot of negativity in the world. I think it's just because there's a small amount of negative people. They travel a lot. Yeah. The best thing you can do in your mind is you got to understand that what you plant in your mind is like a farming. A farmer knows that for seeds to grow, they need to take care of it every day. They need to guard it from things that will hurt the crops. You need to be like that with your mind. Because if you're not watering your mind every day, the weeds will take control. And that's difficult in today's world. How many people have a belief that the world is going crazy?
You can see it. You don't have to believe it.
Yes, you can see it. Why? It's because of media.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes. If you go back 200 years, there were a lot more wars. Almost every nation was always fighting. More murders. Right? Look back in the history. Yes. But now, because we pay attention, because the media is 24/7. Yeah. So what happens is the universal consciousness is watching terrorism, doing all this. So universal consciousness expands when enough people focus on one area. But you're also seeing like network marketing is expanding the consciousness of freedom. It's expanding the consciousness of helping people. This is the only industry where you can get people from all kinds of colors, all kinds of backgrounds, religions, and everyone works together in peace. Right? Like we'll have 15,000 people in Hong Kong in August. And you'll see Africans and Muslims and Christians and people from the Middle East and all over the world in harmony. So I come from a city in Toronto where it's so multicultural that you'll spend a day in Toronto and never hear the English being spoken. People from all kinds of cultures and backgrounds. The other day I was in a mall and I was sitting down and I felt like a minority in that mall. It was really interesting, right? Because Canada was founded on white European background, right? English, French, German, right? After World War I was Ukraine's, right? And then in the 70s, the Caribbeans, Africans, Middle East, Iraqis, and Iranians. And now over 70%, the city I live in, is made up of people of color. Wow, what a great, and it's one of the few cities in the world that is harmonious. Very little murders, very safe. It's because of the mentality of the consciousness of how Canada was created. So if you look at North America and you look at South America, two distinct cultures, also in economic wise. Why? It's in the same part of the world, same kind of natural resources. What's the difference? You go to Mexico and down throughout Mexico, you see poverty, you see corruption, you see, all kinds of crazy things. In Canada and US, totally the opposite. Wealthy countries, infrastructure is totally different. You go back to the foundation of South America, when the Spanish and the Portuguese and the English went to South America, they were looking for riches. When the English and the French and the Spanish came to North America, they were looking for a home. And that changed the world, the two worlds. So you can kind of use that same analogy in building your network marketing business here in NHT. You focus on helping people with this type of stuff, your business will grow long term. It'll change the culture. Why do you think Africa is where it is today? Foundation is the white people, Europe, in North America somewhat, went to Africa because it's highly resource countries. They started taking advantage of the people of Africa because of greed. So it set up a foundation of Africa the last 200-300 years where all they've been doing is trying to catch up to the rest of the world. Because when you take from one area and don't give back, it creates a foundation that is broken. But what happens is the internet is now changing things. Where the average African, if they have the desire, they can go in and learn anything they want and educate themselves. So the emerging markets now are catching up very fast. Technology is driving it. So the African countries, even though there's still a lot of corruption, the people, you saw what happened in Egypt, things can change very fast now because of technology. And in the emerging markets in the next 10 to 20 years, especially through network marketing, is going to explode. So that's why really with the African markets, it's going to be huge. Driven by women.
I will be the first.
Yes. And I'll show you how to do business in Africa right now. Yeah, we're shipping product in Africa. Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Mauritius, Mozambique. Loris is doing some of that business.
I've seen your products, they are marked as food supplements, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that is a problem in my country. If you bring in food supplements...
You talking about Kenya?
No, Uganda.
Uganda?
From Uganda. You have to pay a lot of taxes.
Yeah,
they
so we're...
charge food supplements high taxes.
So what we're doing is we're shipping the facelift and Allura in Africa right now. Goes through customs, no issues.
But not more.
Yeah, when you're dealing with food supplements, it goes under a different category, and customs have issues with it. Any questions on any of this stuff? Any more money monsters? But the goal, because now you're aware of it, and you're at a conscious level, now you can start working on it. Whereas most people, it's just default, they're not aware of it. It's just the way life is. But if you change the programming in here, then it's like a computer, we change on the outside.
There's also, I think, charity helps. If you donate some money somewhere, because then you become like, okay, I have more money, I can give more help to others, you know. And it also helps, like, to change your mindset that money is bad.
Yeah.
You can see that actually you can help with your money. So
Yeah.
basically, it's also good.
So there's 4 basic principles of the universe. There is the law of attraction. Is what we focus on is what we get in life. The law of allowing, we cannot control what people think, so we cannot control what happens to them. So we have to let them go. We have to allow them to be who they want to be. The third one is what Loris talks about, is what we give out in life comes back to us. This is the great thing about network marketing, is the goal here is to help enough people to become successful. It always comes back on you. So when you're giving away money, again, it's on that principle. But the problem is if you give up money and you tell everybody, oh, look how great I am, I'm giving money to this, you know, celebrities and people like that do a lot of that, right? And if it's for the wrong reason to help with your ego or show the world I'm this special person, that law will never work. And then there's one called the vacuum law of prosperity. So for new things to come into your life, you need to get rid of the old things. So if you want a new wardrobe, you got to get rid of the old wardrobe. Even if you don't have the money, you'll new wardrobe will come. If you want more business in life, maybe someone's holding you back in your life, a negative person in your group. You got to let them go, create a new group. Because the universe is like a vacuum. What we let go will come into our lives. So if you want to grow and make more money, you got to let go of your beliefs about money. Rich people are bad. Rich people are greedy. Right? I don't need money to be happy. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a big one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is true.
Yeah, it is.
But unfortunately, we need money to buy the things that can make us happy.
Yeah, but if you're not happy and
Without money, you won't be happy with money. It has nothing to do with money.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
I just don't have any money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let go of that, right? But if you follow that system, that 5-step system, and you take it for 30 days and you start writing down, oh, look what happened to me today. And why you write those things down is it starts to help your belief. Wow, Joe has something there. Most of the people that I've recruited into NHT found me. Because I put it out in the universe, Joe's open for sale. Right? And it's amazing how many people come into my life. Through a phone call, through the internet. And I don't ever ask questions, how did you find me? Because I expect it to happen. The power of expectation. That is why when you say affirmations, you're expecting that to happen. Well, here's what most people do. They'll write it down, and this is where you have to struggle at the beginning, is you write it down, and then immediately if that comes out, I can never get that. It cancels it right away. So you need to build the faith part of yourself, and that's why when you write these little things down, you start to grow. Okay, the other really important lesson is there's 2 elevators in life, or discs. Okay, if you can just visualize a disc. There's one here, and there's one here. And these discs are spinning. Majority of people in the world, over 90%, are on this disc. They're focused on what they don't want, money problems. Right? Relationship problems. They're watching the news all day long, worried about, will terrorism come to my country? Right? Their government is feeding them garbage all the time. And I'll go into that a little later. So that disc is always spinning. And this is very low vibration, energy-wise. You cannot attract good things in your life if you're on this disc for a longer period of time. Your goal is to get on this disc. These people are focused on love, giving back to people. Their goals, they're happy. They're people lifter-uppers. They're focused on manifesting great things in their life. You know, they don't have conflicts. They're always working on themselves. So these people, what happens is they jump on that disc, but then they go back down to this disc. And a lot of these people are staying on this disc. And their energy level is so high every day that great things start to come into their life. But down there, when they jump on this disc, their life goes the other way. Default. So I'm always trying to get myself into that disc. So I'm going through those exercises every day. Every day. the thing is that, and I'm talking to the women, and this is more leadership, okay? And then men, okay? In our business, we have two men that are fighting. So let's say Kaya and I have an argument, right? He's upset at what I said, and we have an argument, and we have a conflict, right? The next day, Kaya and I can completely forget about it because we're men. Okay, Joe, we'll wrap it up, we'll focus. You get two women fight,
Forever.
they on for an hour or for 2 days, a year, 2 years. They don't let go. And the reason why it was women is they're anchored to relationships, right? They're programmed in the relationship point of way, and they focus on the feelings too much. So in our business, for women, the hardest thing you have to deal with is when some of your downline members have a bad day and they call you a name, or they disrespect you, right? Is learn to let go of that stuff. Because immediately what happens is you jump on this disc. Whereas men are focused in another way, because of the caveman principle, is we're focused on how can we feed our family more. And our whole self-esteem is based on that. So a lot of men get into depression because they don't do well in that area, because their whole self-esteem is built around that. This is why, like our women leaders, the men just push them in the corner and say, you know, you do your little business, right? I'll do my thing. I'll take care of the family. And I've seen a lot of cases where the women make a lot more money and the men get really angry and upset. I'll tell you a short story about this. In Canada, we had a lady, her husband was a 6-figure income earner. She got into the business, and her goal was to travel the whole world with her family on a boat, because they had done it before when they were just newly married, and she wanted to do that again. So she started making more money than her husband, and her goal was going to be realized. And her husband told her, it's either the business or me. Yes. What would you do, Karina?
Business. Now I think so.
Yes.
And if you have asked me 10 years before,
Yes.
I say family.
Yes.
But now I say business.
So she comes to me and says, Joe, what should I do? I'm not going to be responsible for splitting anybody up. I said, you got to go with your heart. But it's very unfair for your husband to do that out of ego. You know the reason why. So she decided that she was going to sell her business because of it. She was afraid to make that decision, right? You know, the next 2 weeks, I'm flying back from Los Angeles, and I never take connection flights. I always try to go straight. But this time I had to take a connection flight. I'm out of Pittsburgh, and I'm in the front row of the plane, and guess who's walking down the aisle? It's that woman. And at 12 o'clock midnight. So you think that's a coincidence? No. She was so focused on that decision, and she knew she made the wrong decision, that I was in her mind, and that was the universe telling her, you made the wrong mistake. Mistake, right? Decision. So this is another thing that helps me. I ask myself, what disc am I on right now? Is it the one up here or the one down here? So every guru or teacher in the world, from all the way back to the Bible days, from Jesus Christ, Muhammad, Buddha, you know, they talked about these principles for a long time. That was all part of their teachings. So one last thing, and we'll go for a break, is as leaders, we have to understand the world's programming. So what do governments do to control people? They do it through fear and hit you in the pocketbook. Because they realize if you're struggling to put food on your table, you have no more room in your mind to think about anything else. That's what the world programs us, because the elite in governments want to control the people so they don't get in anarchy or whatever the focus is, right? But if we've developed our own thought process and we focus on these things, then we're able to change our world and change our environment. And when fear and all this other stuff that we see on TV, just say, okay, I know what they're doing. I'm not going to focus on that. Let's go for a break. So Cheryl has a great story about what I've been talking here. Can you share with everybody?
Yeah, so I have a 10-year-old son. He's still in Uganda. And I applied for his residence permit to come here back in 2013. And I never had anything from the immigration. And every time I would call the handler, she would tell me, I'm sorry, Sharon, but I cannot look into your case right now because we have emergence with a serious situation. So I can't do anything for you, I'm sorry. And everyone would tell me, no, you are going to wait for a long time, because usually a minor, it's supposed to take only 6 months before they give him the visa or whatever. But imagine from 2020 up to 2016, no answer. So I gave up. I'm like, no. I took my son to boarding school. I'm like, he's going to be in Uganda. Let me just forget for now. But then at the end of this year, I got fed up. I mean, I spend a lot of money because we pay for school in Uganda and it's very expensive. I was like, I cannot do this anymore. So in February, I said they were going back to school. I told my sister, my son is not going back to school. He is going to get his permit this month, so let him stay at home. My sister, even my mother called me, they're like, are you crazy? How can you not send your son to school? That's not okay. I told them, let him sit home. I am tired. I want my son here with me in Sweden, not in Uganda. So I'm not going to pay for school fees because he's going to get his visa. So I don't want to waste my money on school fees. Yes, he's getting his visa. I'm going to keep that money to buy him an air ticket to here. And when I made that decision, 2 weeks later, the handler Gary called me. And she told me, Sharon, your son got his residence permit.
Wow.
So he's coming. I believed, I confessed it, and I visualized, I'm like, no, my son is going to be here with me. I'm not spending more money on school. I'm going to use that money for his air ticket. And I bought the air ticket this week. He's coming next week.
Wow. Nice story. That's a great story.
Yeah.
You know, I've so when you hear those stories of what she did, it really builds your belief in what we can do as human beings. It's incredible what we can do. Just think about in our lifetime now, what we've seen, how things are moving fast. You know, we've now got the smartphones, the internet. You know, this has all happened, the technology. And this was all created through thought. Someone thought about it, and then the collective consciousness grew and made it happen, right? So how can you use this stuff to help you build NHT in the prospecting, right? So as leaders and as salespeople, because that's what we are, everyone is a salesperson in this world. We're selling something, right? Is you got to learn that we can use these techniques to influence people. Some people may call it manipulation, right? But it's not, it's influence. Influence people to do what you want them to do. So how you can do that is when you meet someone, is you got to understand how the brain works. So I went over the personality types yesterday, right? is the first thing I decide is who am I talking to? What personality type are they? And you can tell pretty quickly. And then the second thing is I want that person to like me. Because if they don't like you, you have no chance. So I've learned how to model someone and their actions. So for example, let's say I'm sitting down with Boris from Latvia, okay? And I do this all the time with people. In the first 5 minutes you have, the first impression is I'm going to model or copy his tonality of his voice, his body language. So if Flores goes like this, I'm going to do this eventually. If he scratches his head, I'm eventually going to do that. If he goes like this, I'm going to do this. I'm watching him all the time. So when you're modeling someone, what will happen? His brain will say, wow, I like this guy because I'm being like him.
Yeah.
Right? So now you're influencing people's decisions. Because of the brain. So I'm also going to do it in the voice. So you can do that on the telephone. So if you talk to someone that is loud, you talk loud. They talk fast, you talk fast. They talk slow, you talk slow. If you hear them say certain words, you're going to do the same thing. So a few years ago, I was in the west coast of Canada, and I was in an office like this, and I was meeting these two women. They were business people. So I sat down with them, and I noticed within 30 seconds they were modeling me. Right? So I decided I'm going to have some fun with them. So I started going like this, like this, like this. I was doing really fast. And then they would do this. They're all over the place. And it took them about 5 minutes to understand that I knew what they were doing. Right? Because what had happened, they went to a course teaching this. So they were practicing on me. Right? And they were doing it very obviously. But once you learn how to model someone slowly and understand where they are, you're now connecting with them. So once you connect with them, now you're able to influence them. Because what you're doing, you're tapping into their subconscious mind. That's how hypnotists work. Is they tap into your subconscious mind and they direct you to do what you. So they bypass the filters. I can teach you guys a course on hypnotism. That's how I got Margaret to marry me. But it will make you guys very dangerous.
How do you know? Maybe she's modeling you.
Maybe, yeah. But so modeling is really important when you sit down with a prospect or a customer. Because if you got them thinking, well, I like this person, he's like me, she's like me, you now have a prospect that's going to make a wise decision in joining you. The second thing is their verbal communication. There's 3 types of people really outside of the personalities. There's visual people, there's auditory people, and there's kinesthetic. 20% of the population is visual.
How much?
20% approximately. Visual people are people that will say,
Nice.
Loris, can I see this again? I didn't quite get it. Can I see that graph? Right? They talk in pictures. So when you hear them on the phone and they're saying that kind of language, you know that they're visual. You need to show them. So websites are very good for them. Videos are really good for them. auditory people talk very fast, very, very fast. And you'll hear that a lot of them will say, I can't, can you explain that to me, please, again? I didn't quite get it. And auditory people is about 20% of the population. And then kinesthetic are touchy-feely. They go with the heart. So when you're sitting, kinesthetic, touchy-feely people. So when you're dealing with people face to face and they reach out and touch the product, right? You know that they're very kinesthetic, right? Or they talk about a lot about their feelings. So as a business person, most people tend to communicate the way we internalize things. The smart one will start to communicate what that person, how they communicate, and tap into their area of personality and visual, auditory, kinesthetic. This is why I've been able to recruit a lot of people from all kinds of backgrounds and nationalities, because I'm able to go into Africa, for example, and sit down with Muslims and I can be like them in a matter of 5 minutes. I can go into the US and be in front of executives, and in 5 minutes I can be like them because of these techniques. And if you learn how to model people, you will influence a lot of people in your life. The quickest way to success is find someone who's successful and do what they do. So I'll give you an example. Dan Catto. One of the things that attracted me to Dan in the early years is Dan was always positive, but he always attracted people to him, right? And I saw Dan, he didn't recruit the most amount of people or sell the most amount of product. It just, things happened naturally to him. And I was wondering, why is that person always struggling and Dan didn't seem to struggle? So when you ask the right questions, the right answers come. And then I started realizing it's because of his thought process. He was so focused on what he wanted, he just attracted things to his life. And he was always positive. Any questions on modeling and how to do that?
So can you say that 60% of people,
It's kinesthetic, yeah.
but they can combine? You can't be only visual.
Yeah, there are some where you're both, but you have always a dominant side of yourself. Most women are kinesthetic.
Ja, man tar på
So prospecting is really the number one skill set that we have to develop in the business. But this is the stuff, you master this, prospecting will be easy. So I always like to have 3 prospecting methods that I'm using all the time. Because the goal is in our business is to expand our database. So I always recommend that you get an Excel spreadsheet, and everyone you contact, put that in the Excel spreadsheet, and what was the last thing you talked to them about. And you also want to put them into a email database. And this is what professionals do. So if they say no now, to me, no is not forever. Is you want to be a person that you're going to send up value all the time to people. You see something nice that can help people, send it to them. And will happen over the years as you're prospecting and you're sending people and staying in contact with these people, a lot of these people will eventually come into your business. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals. I think the longest prospecting that I've had with someone is 7 years. Where I initially prospected them, they said no, not the right time, and I would just feed them. And I would ask them, it's okay if I send you information over the years, you know, tell you what I'm doing, and I would just feed them. Eventually, the right time came along. Like your sponsor, Boris, was, and your sponsor, Dalibor, I think 2 years went by when he was prospected. So the three prospecting methods that I use all the time is the business cards I gave yesterday. That little simple technique is a very effective technique where you write on the back of the business card. You can either have them call you, or you can create a capture page or a web page, one page with a video. And if you need more help on that, you know, I can help you guys do that. So the video, you never say the word NHT, because on the internet, if you say the word NHT, they're going to immediately Google. And the company gets hundreds of people calling them saying, I want more information on NHT, because they've gone to a link that talked about NHT and they forgot where the link, how they got there, right? So you need to create enough curiosity. So I would always recommend you build your own page. You can look at some of mine. You just send me an email. But like if you're a woman, you know, you can create a 2-minute page about your story. You know, I'm Sharon, originally from Uganda. I wanted more for my family. I started educating myself as an entrepreneur, and I got involved in an e-commerce business. This is what's happened. I'm so excited. You want some more information? Fill out the form below about how we're expanding our business globally and how you can be the mother you want to be. You know, blah blah blah. You know. So you're targeting mothers. They fill out the information, immediately goes to your email box, and now you're able to contact them. So one of my pages is WeDoCreateMillionaires.com. You can look at that one. One that's very effective by a 78-year-old woman in the U.S., Frances Maxwell. She has one, nursesearningdoctorsincome.com. So she's sending people to that site all the time. Nursesearningdoctorsincome.com. Yeah. So mine is We Do Create Millionaires.com. Francis is
Nurses earning.
Nurses Earning Doctors Income.com.
Sorry, what was that? We do create
Millionaires.com, yeah. So this so what I done, sending a little card back to them. Instead of calling me, I'd send them to that page. So it's just using technology to save time and talking to people that really want to speak to you. Or you can have them give you a call. The reason why, Dan and I are working on a 5-minute recruiting video. It's almost done, which will be in different languages. Has a lot of testimonials in there. So that could be another video that people can use on the page. Won't say anything about NHT. It'll be totally generic. So I've done a lot of those type of tools in the past, which, seem to change all the time, because things change very quickly. So that's one that I do all the time. The 3-foot rule is a technique that all of us need to get comfortable in doing. We're always programmed not to talk to strangers, right? So in our business, we got to talk to strangers. And it's not like we're pitching people all day long. It's getting in conversation with people, asking what they do for a living, and using your commercial. Because in the old days, when I got started in the 90s, that was the way that you develop leads all the time, Prospecting. The third way that I do a lot is placing ads in language newspapers. So I targeted Chinese, put an ad in the Chinese newspaper. Japanese, put an ad in the Japanese newspaper. Russian. And all over Europe and North America, there's language newspapers that are targeted to the citizens that speak in different languages. And that's another way where you can create contacts in other markets. Locally, you'll be sponsoring someone locally, but they have contacts where they call back home. So if you need an ad for that, I've got one that really works in these language newspapers. You can set up co-ops here in Sweden. What a co-op is you have 2, 3, or 4 people that run an ad together, and you split the leads. And you can run it usually with an ad, you got to run it for at least a month, because the longer that's in a newspaper, the better leads you get, because the people say, well, that ad must be doing well, there's something about this. You get higher quality people. So this is how we developed a lot of contacts when we were developing in the early days. And nobody does it. No network marketers do that, even today. And typically in those language newspapers, it's very inexpensive to place an ad in those. You have Chinese people in Sweden, right? Big market. I think in Europe there's maybe 4 or 5 Chinese language newspapers. Like in Canada now, you go to the instant teller, ATM, you have the option to choose Chinese. Any questions on that? A lot of people ask me how to prospect on the internet. I went over the LinkedIn or social media prospecting. The other thing that you can do is taking people offline and bringing them online, like putting ads offline and bringing online. I've done a lot of Google pay-per-click advertising, which is more of a professional prospecting method. And basically, you place a little ad and you put keywords in these ads, and when people type in, they'll see the ad when they Google something. And when they click on it, it'll take them to a page where they can fill out information, right? In North America, they've closed down, we call it Google Slap, where they see network marketers are the ones, I was one of the first, that developed Google pay-per-clicks. And then eventually what ended up happening is they stopped allowing business opportunities to do that in North America. But in Europe, some places in Europe, Google still allows it.
Maybe. But
Yes. I'm actually doing a few right now.
Okay.
Yeah. But in Asia, so that's another area if you want to learn more about very intense techniques. You can sit down with Dalibor and Helen, and they can. Dalibor is an expert in that stuff. I've taught him everything I know. So there's so many ways that we can reach out to people, but I would decide to choose 3 different ways, and then just be consistent with that. So in a prospect, probably the best way is working through people's warm markets. So when you have a prospect, the goal is number 1 to sell them product and get referrals, bring them into the business and work their warm market. And the third is if they don't either or, still get referrals. So there's a technique that's called taprooting in our business. Everyone that I sponsor the business, I rate them 1 through 10. 1, 2s, and 3s are average working people. People work in factories, average jobs, right? 4, 5, 6s are people that are in white-collar jobs, office jobs, management. 7, 8, 9s, and 10s are successful entrepreneurs, CEOs, presidents of companies, upper management people in corporate, right? So when you get someone started in NHT, and they're 1, 2, 3, and you leave them alone to go out prospecting by themselves, contact their contacts, that too, more than likely, will only talk to people that are at their level, 2s and 1s. That 2 sponsors a 1. So they're now duplicating. That 1 goes and sponsors a 0. What happens to the business? It stops, right? So as a leader, what you want to do is you want to help that 2 find out who they know is an 8, 9, and 10. And create a strategy to work their 8, 9s, and 10s, 7, 8, 9s, and 10s. Because they will never in their mind think that 7, 8, 9, and 10, oh, they're making all the money, they don't need the money, they'll never be interested, all these type of beliefs. But how you expand your business base is by spending most of your time in this area. So I'll give you an example of how I launched into South Korea. Is I sponsored a lady in Toronto. On a scale to 1 to 10, she was a 0. No business experience. She didn't have any confidence in business. I knew that I could help her become a 10 in our business. That's a great part of our business. But it would take a while. So I asked her, who do you know is successful? Who do you know has a successful business? And she said, Joe, I'm the secretary of the board of the president of the Japanese Board of Trade. Okay. I said, well, his name is Mr. Yu. Can you? And so, well, can you introduce me to him? Oh, he will never be interested, Joe. Don't worry about it. He'll never be. He has 3 car dealerships, lots of different other businesses. He's in his 60s. He wants to retire. He will never be interested. I go, I'll show you. Our job is just to show him the business. It's not to make the decision for him, right? So we created a strategy where she introduced me to him, and I said, Mr. Yu, I understand that you're very successful. And he said, yes, Joe, I've got all these businesses. He went on and on. I go, the reason why I was calling is we're looking at expanding our business in Asia. And we've got this e-commerce business. And I can show you a way where you can make money while you sleep. Oh, Mr. Garcia, I would love for you to meet me. So I set up an appointment to meet with him. So I did a little research on him, and he's in the business. He had 3 car dealerships, several restaurants. So I knew in those type of businesses, he probably had a huge line of credit where he has to buy cars, you know, and every month they have to sell the cars, pay the bank back. You know, that's how they work. It's a very stressful life, right? So I wanted to go in there, and Mr. Yu was a 10. So I went in there with a plan to show him. He provides me the contacts, and I will do the work and help him develop the business. And we can start expanding in Asia, and you know, but just all he has to do is introduce me to people, because the time thing for him. So I showed him in the plan. What we do is, you know, you introduce this business. I showed him the compensation plan. This is what the business that we can help him build, and we'll grow up very fast together. So he joined. He joined. You know that every presentation that I did, and we did it in groups. So I go, the best thing to do is just, if we can get 6, 7, 8 people in a room, I'll do it. Because I didn't have to say anything to these people, because they saw Mr. Yu in the business, they all signed up. Every single one of them, 100% recruiting ratio. We went over to South Korea, because he's a Korean, they all started signing up over there. All because, and he led me to other 8, 9s, and 10s that had more time, more flexibility, you know? And that's how we grew, and grew, and grew. And because I was dealing in this area, I didn't need to do too much personal development or training. It was all about, because they understood, they had the conscious mind and the self-esteem to introduce the business. We kept it simple. So what that is so in her case, I sponsored a 0, led me to a 10, and it was 8, 9s, and 10s all the way down into that business. So when you're sponsoring someone into the business, you're not sponsoring them, you're sponsoring their list. And how effective we work that list is how we can expand our business. The challenge with most people is they let their people go and start contacting and inviting people without being trained. You need to help them, or else they end up losing a lot of good people because they're using the direct approach. And if they don't have the credibility in business with the direct approach, that sales filter kicks in and they're going to get a lot of objections. That's why you see a lot of people in network marketing, after a month or 2, they quit after talking to people because they've done it wrong. And because of all that objections and negativity, well, I don't want to do anything with that. So this is, I'm always, everyone I'm introducing and going down line, I'm asking, who do you know is successful? Who do you know is in business? And I'm helping them go down all the way down their lines and helping them go with that strategy. So that global ambassador in China that did it in 10 months, that's what they did. But he was a 10, and he immediately started contacting all the 10s and all the 9s in that area. And because 8, 9s, and 10s have the experience, the self-esteem, the credibility, their businesses, because they're high-performing people, their businesses expanded faster. And the one thing about people with money, they want more. Business people are always looking for better ways. And what they don't have is time. They're in businesses that take a lot of time. So that's where we show them, by using their credibility, their contacts, they can free up time in their life. and earn residual income. So that is the one technique that I've used prospecting wise that have exploded our business. So I've introduced over 300 people to NHD, and it's grown to over 1 million people because of this. Yes?
How long is your presentation?
Usually 30 minutes.
Okay.
I spend majority of the time building rapport, like the modeling. Like with Mr. U, it was easy. I was able to model him in 5 minutes, and he loved me, right?
For his prospects, about 30 minutes?
30 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of presentation do you do?
Well, I scan the room, right? I don't do the same presentation all the time.
Okay, so you don't stick to the
No.
presentation model we have in
No.
in back office?
I'll teach it, but I won't.
Okay.
I will base it on the type of people I have in the room. Because I've done so many, I know if it's mostly women, I know what to do. Yes. Women, I will be a lot more flexible. If it's businessmen, I'll go right into the money. Right into the money. I won't even go into the products as much.
So what do you expect that the people that you involve, what kind of presentation do you expect them to do?
Well, I teach them to grow their conscious level where they get to the point where they understand what to do, but we stick to the basics. Like we have the webinars that they can use and all those basics, but as we grow their conscious level, show them the techniques like I'm showing you right now, how you can change your presentations based on the people you're talking to.
So what kind of facts do you use? What kind of facts?
I stick to the facts of the business.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have them on printed or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what you hand out to all the people you sign in?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you go to Steam Team and you click under Business Mastery and then Prospecting Tools, right? There is a Euro 3-page sheet. You can use that. It's updated. Okay, and then you just use it I would use that give out to people so they can follow.
Okay. And how long time does it take to go through that?
Oh, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it goes into the company.
That's a short one.
Yeah. And then I go into questions, right? But keeping it simple. But again, you understand the people in the room. And you know as well as I do, Kai, you do 10 presentations, 20 presentations, 100. It's not what you say, it's your music. And you'll get better and better and better. So my first year I did almost 900 presentations around there.
But the hard part is actually to get duplication on everything.
Yes, and that's where the tools come in. But if you're dealing with 8, 9s, and 10s, they're not duplicatable.
I know.
Right? They're absolutely not duplicatable. The most used word in this business is leaders and duplication. This is why people are able to sell product more than recruit, because it's easier, right? Like the facelift, you just do a demo and bang, right? That kind of thing. Like the finished infomercial. So recently, this gentleman came on board who runs an infomercial company. So you put together a half an hour. I helped him. Half an hour infomercial on skin indulgence. Hired a model to do it, and they're selling 10. They did the first one they did without testimonials, and I told them we need to have 5 or 6 local testimonials on the product. So they were selling 2 a day of skin indulgence without testimonials. They added the testimonials. They're now up to 10 kits a day on the infomercial. So I'll send it. You guys can see the video. It's really well done. It's actually the best video I've ever seen. Very high quality.
We need them in English.
Pardon?
We need it in English.
Yeah, that's more of an infomercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you think when you look at every distributors you have, which is most often used? Going through a product, use facelift first and then ask them, do you think you can do this and sell this after? Or try to sell in the idea about the business possibility?
With most women, I try to get the product on their faces. Yeah. Because if you give them an experience, and a female gets an emotional reaction because of the kinesthetic to the product, they will explode. They'll run with the business, right?
But you should put the man also on the face.
The problem with that, yeah, is a lot of men will think, I don't want to sell skincare. I can't see myself do this, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be very,
You need to find a humble man.
yes. Yeah. But the facelift is like just a tool. And that's the hardest part to teach. Is you can teach people the skills. Like Karina asked me, what do I need to do? Right? I said, Karina, I'm afraid to tell you anything because whatever you're doing is working. Right? Is she's going about getting success without having much knowledge because she's going with her heart, her enthusiasm. Right? And she's not thinking about it. So I'm afraid to tell her all these techniques and then she starts thinking about it and that she loses that enthusiasm. Because really it comes down to, if you learn, like when I had the disc, if you're up on that disc and you're excited and you're giving back, you're going to attract those people no matter what you do. It's just the enthusiasm about life. You know, I was telling Everett, I went near the hotel last night and got a small pizza. And I walked in and there was nobody in the pizza place, so I thought, wow, it's Saturday night, no one's eating here. This is a clue. So I walked up to order the pizza and the guy was miserable. And I go, wow, now I understand. Right? Now I understand. So I wanted to give him some advice, you know, because he was miserable, right? Then I thought, no, I should not give him advice because he's making my pizza. Never give advice to people that are making food. We can get back to you.
I have another question. Do you have any distributor who have worked, for example, with this project now with the hair balsam and visiting hairdressers? So they go to hairdressers and say, I have a marvelous product for you here, and try to go that way.
Yeah. The facelift is sold a lot through salons.
Yeah.
Along with that
the
hair
rope
product
and
now.
things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That hair product is a great product.
But about the facelift, when you come to a salon, for example, do they sell the product or
Yeah.
do they do the treatment? What is their thing?
Okay, I'm going to show you how to sell to salons.
No, but before you do, just what kind of approach do they use?
I will show you
Uh-huh,
right now. It's part of it, right? So, as a business person, we always have to create solutions for people's problems, right? The problem that a salon owner has is, number one, they're there all the time. They have no time. Number two is growing their business, their traffic, right? So they can make more money. Number three, they do very little marketing. It's amazing how many people open a restaurant or a salon and expect to be successful, right? You do very little marketing. So what you do with the salon, knowing that there is a solution to that, is you approach the owner and you tell them, I could show you a way where you can increase your business by 20% in the next couple of months. Increase your traffic. Okay? Then you introduce them to the facelift and you're going to show them how you're going to do this. Number one, you're going to sell a lot of product because the margins on this product is much more than what you're selling on there, right? So you're going to set one day that you're not busy and you're going to advertise the first few weeks in your area like flyers and stuff. That on this day, you're gonna do free facials, brand new product. Everybody likes free, right? So based on that, you're going to have all these people come into your store that's never been into your salon. Okay? So that day, you're going to do the demos, but you're also going to have them fill out a form with their name, their email address, and their phone number, cell phone. And you're going to have someone in your salon, one of your workers, input that into an Excel spreadsheet. Because it's amazing how salon owners don't know their customers, right? So not only are you going to sell a lot of product that day, but that day you're going to offer a promotion that to take advantage of your services, like, and you have to be very aggressive, 30% off, 40% off, 50% off. And a lot of owners say, oh, I can't afford to do that. No, you have to have it's called a loss leader. You want to keep them as a customer, right? So you're going to take advantage of all these, so you take advantage of all this new traffic, and you want to keep them as a customer, right? So if people don't take advantage of that, then you got your database, where you're going to call, so have someone call, and you can also mail, saying if you come back into our salon, we're going to give you 50% off a haircut, or whatever sort of color, right? So now you got them back, and you're keeping them as a customer. And you're going to sell a lot of product that day with the facelift, and use that as your future product, to sell product. So every salon that's done that has increased their business. And you're teaching the owner, you're giving value and how to expand their business.
Because you keep them as a customer because you know they never got time to build a network.
Correct.
Right.
So then you have them buy it, gold, platinum, whatever, so they can get the product. Yeah. The other thing you want to do is, some of them are very business minded, and what they lack is freedom, because their business is basically a job. So they start to think, oh, I got all these customers, and that's where you would show them that part of the business if they're that kind of person. So we have a lot of salons that use that very effectively. And it's important when they do the demonstrations that you go in and you show the people that work there how to use the product.
How do you think, we were talking about men and women, and men, you say they're not so fond of selling facelift, okay? But this new product now, the Restore product,
Yeah.
that would be good to interest a lot of men too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Athletes.
How much experience do you have? How quick will it work on a person? Is it different?
Well, I tell them to take 4, go the maximum, or 4 drops,
Uh-huh.
so they can get the maximum results very fast.
Okay.
It depends on their diet,
Yeah.
how well a shape they are in. That's important. But usually about a month. But I've seen it within a week where people see differences.
Another question I have, you have a very broad product line now. Lot of products, right?
Yeah.
Is there any product you are thinking this is not working well, so we say goodbye and take in one? Or
With the life cycle? Not right now, no. See, a lot of the products have been researched highly, and they've been taken to the company by distributors like myself. There's one particular one that's actually made in Norway that's going to be launching here. Yes.
Norwegian oil.
Pardon?
Norwegian oil.
Yeah. Norwegian oil, yes. It actually comes from Norwegian eggs, which will blow you guys away. I'll tell you, 9 months ago, it shows you how the universe works. I got a product sent to me that's egg extract. That's all I knew was egg extract. What's egg extract? And when I started doing the research, I couldn't believe people with major diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia and other diseases that people had reversals. So when I researched it more and more, I said, well, we got to get this product into NHT. It's $1 billion product by itself. So basically, these Norwegian farmers, you know, if you look at an egg, from the time an egg is made to 21 days, a real life form develops. That's a miracle. Nothing in this world works that fast. Right? 21 days. They have a beak, they're walking around right out of the egg. So they found, when they studied the egg, from day 1 to day 9, before the embryo is created in an egg, millions of peptides are produced in the egg. Peptides are our stem cells in our body. And we've all heard stem cell technology. So they extract the egg before the embryo, 9th day, and turn it into this powder. And this powder reacts as a stem cell in our body. And it starts repairing ourselves like it was we're kids. And we're going to be introducing that product.
And we're going to sound like Aqua.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have another thing too. I was thinking, you know, the persons had to buy for 90 BV in every second month.
Yeah.
When I saw that first time, I was thinking, why is there not any products that you usually use in your household? Now you have shampoo, you didn't have it then. I say, for example, in a household you have shampoo, balsam, you have toothpaste, you have...
You'll start to see some of those types of products come in NHT.
Thank you.
Transfer buying.
Okay.
Yeah. So shampoo, there'll be other stuff. And a lot of men think, why does NHT really bring out a lot of women type products?
Yeah.
Right? Because the women are the buying power of the family. One secret I'll teach you guys, if the woman in the household is not happy, nobody's happy. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But you know, women also, when my wife is out shopping, she always come home, show what she bought, and say, I saved you a lot of money. and they don't even think that it costs something, you know. That's not in. But if you see, haven't been looking around where it was cheapest, she didn't have a save any money for it. So maybe you should have something like that also in NHD, you know. Here you can buy it cheaper right now, a campaign or something.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that?
Good idea. If you guys have ideas, feel free to send it into the company. You can CC me. You know, that's how we've evolved, you know, the collective consciousness.
I got a question about the Alora. There are some copies out there on the market.
Yeah.
What will happen in the future with all these...
Volupta, for example.
Yeah.
Sensivo.
Volupta.
There are a lot of
Yeah, so
similar products.
So Dr. Thompson has
He actually
the...
said that there is products.
Yeah.
But no, because he sold out before.
2003, 2002, there was another Russian company.
Yeah, that was actually NHT.
Was it?
Yes.
GSK.
It's a different name.
I have been working since... Okay.
Yeah. I'll tell you a quick story with Alora. You know,
But we also had the facelift at that time.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So in the early days, people were really uncomfortable with the sex thing, right? It's amazing. And so we had this man in Canada that had a really big nose. So how he would demonstrate the product, he says, just pretend. So he'd go like this, so his nose like this. So just pretend this is where you need to apply it. It goes right here. So it was kind of funny because he had this big nose, right? Yeah. But that product, basically, when I found out that was a powerful product, is I have a friend of mine that had cancer, that had helped overcome cancer with our nutritional products, right? and she was through her second marriage, and she was concerned because the chemotherapy ravaged her body, right? And she was married a second time, and because of the lack of intimacy, she thought there's a good chance her marriage was going to break up. So I sent her the product, and her husband called me back within 24 hours, and he said, "Joe, this is an incredible product." "Oh, really?" "Oh, yes, I know it's a great product. You know, I used it last night, and I had the best results ever." Then I realized he was using it on himself instead of her. Yeah. Then I thought, you know, you rub anything on a man, it'll work. But then she started using the product, and she called me back in tears, saying, "Joe, this product saved my marriage." And I realized how important the product was. Because as men, we think about it as a sex thing and everything else. For women, it's much more bigger, you know. So how I market that product is, number one is I tell women to use it every day for a month. Yeah, because if you tell them to go and use it, and the first time they don't get results, they'll never use it again. So you have to build their expectations. Tell them to use it every day for a month. And I tell them, number two, if they're getting kind of burning sensation and it's difficult, that they should go to the doctor and check their levels of estrogen and testosterone. And usually it's that, because it penetrates too fast. And if they don't get any results by day 15, then they got to get checked their hormones levels too, because the product needs, with that part of the brain, it needs testosterone to work. The nitric oxide pathway. And then you'll have happy customers. So the Russians, they use it to grow hair. They use it for sore throats.
Yeah.
There's like thousands of usages for that product. They use it. And the Chinese. Because when you apply it, like if you have a cut and you apply it, it sends a lot of oxygen to the area and blood flow. And the healing process starts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been looking at that clock all day, and it's 1:15. And I was wondering, why isn't that clock moving? And I just figured it out. Right?
It shows correct time
So-
only 2 times per day.
Yeah, I'll just go through 2 minutes and what I would do the next couple of weeks.
2 minutes.
Every time we go to events like this, and you get a lot of new things and ideas, and you're really excited, I would recommend that you use one of the ideas, just one, and implement it as soon as possible. This is what I've been able to do for years, and review your notes, and just go in there, especially prospecting, just go and do it. And you'll build momentum to the point where you'll be unstoppable. The challenge with most people is they take a lot of notes, they go back to their own regular lives, and they don't implement anything that they learned, right? That could be life-changing. So that's what leaders do. That's what high performance do. That's what the 8, 9s, and 10 do, is they'll take an idea and they'll run with it. Because everything that I've taught here has been from experience. Is where I've learned something or understood something and I put it into practice, and I've kind of used my own techniques to get the results I'm getting. And the last thing I want to share with you is, you know, all of you guys are my friends, right? We build a relationship. You know, I'm approachable. You need any of my help, you know, I'll be here to help you. But I will respect the lines of leadership, right? So, you know, everything that I'll do, if you're in Kaya's group, I will make sure he knows what we're doing, right? Same with Helen, right? I always respect the lines of leadership. Because that's how we build the duplication method, right? So there's 4 rules, leave you with this, that I live by. First rule in leadership is I always follow through with my promises. Because this is a trust building business, right? So always be careful what you say to people, because they will remember. And I think what happens as salespeople or as business builders, we tend to say things that other people want to hear. You know, years ago I had a upline that always did that. And he became successful, and the universe taught him a lesson. He would always say what people want to hear, but never follow through. So for example, last November I did an event in Komsomolsk, Russia, which is the northeast part of Russia. And I set a qualification, because they've been bugging me for years, Dor, you got to come to my city. So I set a qualification thinking they would never go qualify, right? But they qualified. So Margaret and I are in Hawaii, and I'm booking flights to go to Komsomolsk, and there's no flights to Komsomolsk. I go, why is that weird? That's weird. They close the airport during the winter. So I had to fly 21 hours to Khabarovsk, which is the nearest airport, and get in the train for 10 hours to go to Komsomolsk. And when I saw that, I said, I don't want to do this. I don't know if you've gone into a Russian train. It's like going to a 2-star resort in Cuba. And because I promised, I did it. It took me almost 2 days to get there. It was crazy, right? So promises. Second thing is we always have to do things with integrity. Always tell the truth. So people are smart these days, right? Especially women. They'll see through any guy. So you always have to tell the truth. And always, especially in marketing, we tend to exaggerate because we want to impress people, but they don't work. We're not in, back in Kai, you probably remember, they used to have a term, fake it till you make it.
Oh, yeah. Still
So, yeah. But you know how people would show up with expensive cars because they wanted to show that they're to impress people. But nowadays it's not as impressive because everybody's driving BMWs and Mercedes. It's much more affordable because of leasing and things like that, right? But you always have to, with integrity. Third thing, as a leader, you got to lead by example. You cannot expect your team to do what you're not doing. There's a lot of people in this business that become trainers because they were successful 10 years ago. But if you're on stage, you better be teaching the things that you're doing now because it'll catch up to you. So with me, I still think today I'm the #1 recruiter in NHT. I'm always bringing new people in. I'm always doing the things that I teach because you have to align yourself. Where you get results in your life is when you say things and you're at the same vibration level what you say, that means you're in alignment. And when you're in alignment with what you want, you get it. So you need to show your people that you're recruiting, that you're doing the things that you're saying. But a lot of times we get in the habit of, oh, why isn't this person doing something? Why isn't that person doing something, right? And we get upset. But you got to lead by example always. You can motivate people more by what you're doing, but if you're just talking about it, you're not going to get the respect. That's why it's very important, Helen, when you build teams, that you don't put people, just because they're a good speaker, you don't put them in front of it. We've made this mistake. They may have been successful in the past and they're great speakers and trainers, and we put them up on stage and they're not doing anything. It doesn't work. sends is wrong signals to everybody. So, and the last thing is you got to treat everybody like they're the most special person in the world, no matter what rank they are. So I always am respectful to people. The thing is the problem with most people is they think because they're making more money than people that they are better than them. That's very dangerous, because we're all have the same abilities, the same everything. It's just our programming is a little different. So as leaders, we've got to be respectful. I'm always respectful to everybody. I return all my calls. I return all my messages, my text messages. It's real important. When telemarketers call me, I'm respectful to them. You know, Margaret gets upset with me when the Jehovah's Witness knock on my door. I welcome them into our house, and I let them share their beliefs. It's just being respectful. Because what we do to people will come back to us. So if a telemarketer calls me, I'll tell them, you're doing a great job, fantastic. It's you're providing an energy for them to help them. So as leaders, we've got to, because everybody's watching the way you're dressing, the way you respect people. You know, a couple of years ago, I was in an event in this, in a leadership group like this, and the leader was acting irresponsibly. Like she was out of control. And she was disrespecting her people in a very big way. And I could see they were all scared of her, like very scared. And I had to pull her aside. I didn't do it that day, because she would, you know, when someone is angry and upset, and you cannot get through to them, right? And I pulled her aside, and I just told her that so when you're going to share a criticism with someone, you got to praise them first, because their mind becomes parachute. And I just told her, you know, you're a great leader. I like when you do this, but what you did yesterday here, bye-bye. What you did here yesterday was wrong. This is why. So she, instead of as a criticism, she expected as a, you know, I was helping her with her leadership, because I praised her first. So Margaret knows my secret now. When I want her to do something, I'll praise her. Yeah, know my secret. Okay, I'm done. So I want to just share with you, I'm excited about this group. I love the energy. You know, and we can do big things for this team. Big things. And I've made it my responsibility to create big things and putting it out to the universe. Because great people, when we are on the same page, we can move mountains. I've heard that before. Yeah.
Can I just have one
Yes.
last
Yeah, sure.
May I
Thank you.
personal